Franky. Inspired by the song Highway Patrolman, Franky leaned back in his chair and took a long drag on his cigarette, the smoke curling around his face. He had never been much for reminiscing, but as he stared out the window at the bleak Canadian landscape, his mind wandered back to a time when things had been different. It had all started to go wrong after he came back from the army. He had been full of hope and energy, eager to make something of himself. But back in Perrinville, he found himself suffocated by the same old routine. His brother Joey had settled down with Maria. The surprise had stung. Franky could feel the distance growing between. He knew Joey could feel it too. He tried to make a go of it, really he did. He got a job at the factory and even started dating a girl named Sally. But he couldn't forget about Maria and what Joey had done. He started drinking. Then, one night at the roadhouse, everything changed. He had been with a girl. Things had gotten out of hand. Someone had ended up dead, and Franky had known right away that he was in deep trouble. He had fled, hoping to make it to Canada and start a new life. But things had only gotten worse from there. He had fallen in with the wrong crowd, and before he knew it, he was in over his head. He had done things he wasn't proud of, things he couldn't even bring himself to think about now. And through it all, he had resented Joe. Resented him for turning his back on him, for stealing Maria away. Resented him for the life he had, the life Franky had always wanted for himself. Now as he sat in his cell, he knew that his resentments were pointless. He had made his own choices, and he had to live with the consequences. But as he thought back on his life, he couldn't help but wonder what might have been if things had gone differently. If Joe had been there for him when he needed him most. If he had never met Maria. It was cold in his cell, but not as cold as the emptiness he felt inside. He closed his eyes and tried to picture a different life, one where he and Joey, his only blood, were still laughing and drinking. But he knew that life was nothing more than a distant dream now.